It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning.
Hello.
Well, here we go again. Remember the retroactive billionaires tax in California?
Yeah.
And they really weren't as specific that time when they were talking about basically, the umbrella topic of it, because we were like, well, how would they do that for a period of years?
Yeah, how do you enforce that? Right?
But they're going to do it.
Uh-huh.
Well, it looks like Newsom's pushing for it again. I'll say this.
Okay.
Newsom is pushing for the retroactive billionaire tax, targeting the roughly 220 billionaires residing in California in 2025, according to Jonathan Turley. And he writes, it signals not just desperation in the face of crippling debt and overspending, but a recognition that California is chasing its highest earners out of the state. The 2026 Billionaires Tax Act would impose a one-time 5% tax on individual wealth, not income, individual wealth exceeding $1 billion. By the way, if you make $1 billion, that would be $50 million you would have to pay extra in taxes, which means most likely you would have to liquidate assets to do that.
Right.
It's one of the reasons because the person the person who was most widely recognized, who first came up with the concept and promoted a one-time billionaires tax, is now our president.
Yeah,
he
promoted that in one of his books,
and he had to back off on it when they told him, "Well, no, don't you realize? No, you'd cause a huge disruption."
Right.
And I forgot what his amount was that he wanted to do, and it would be a one-time billionaires tax. I think that was to pay off the debt.
Right.
And it was like, you can't do that because they have to liquidate assets. Once they are forced to liquidate, whether it's stocks or whatever, that stock price crashes.
Right. Those companies end up suffering. The people that work for those companies end up suffering. Yeah.
While technically using the 2026 wealth figures, it would apply retroactively because you would have to look at what their wealth was for 2026.
Right.
Well, that's not going to come to the end of 2026, which means they get you for 2025.
Right.
Even if you left, I don't know. I guess they're saying if you resided in California in 2025, I don't know if that means the entire year, whether it would be prorated or whatever, but this is a tax that would tax you. They might not pass it till 2026 to tax you for 2025 on wealth.
Yeah.
While technically using 2026 wealth figures, it would apply to billionaires who resided in California in 2025. So you cannot hope to flee, at least with your wealth intact. It is a penalty for those who stayed too long, hoping that rational minds would prevail in California.
Right. Yeah. Good luck with implementing such an idea. It's not, again, as you bring up, it's not new. We've heard this before from California. But you follow this idea. You extrapolate it out beyond California for what the liberal left wants to do. And Elizabeth Warren and I don't know how many, Bernie, they're all on board for this. But what would have to happen inevitably is that there would have to be a listing of all of the assets, eventually, of every person that owned anything of any substantial wealth. Because how do you know that person might be a billionaire tomorrow? Again, if you're going to try and do this retroactively, well, eventually what they'll want to do is catch up with that and enforce what the people have now, which means everyone would be audited essentially It would be the equivalent of being audited every year because you would have to list
Right.
all of your assets every year.
Right. This one, they claim, would be a one-time
Right.
tax.
Yeah.
Now, as he writes,
Yeah, because I'm sure they wouldn't let it go on and on.
right, because we know that there's credibility when Democrats say it's just a temporary tax or a temporary subsidy.
Well, and that, which is my point of extrapolating this whole thing out where the left really wants to go with this. Because California, they always see themselves as, well, if we can, get this done here, we can basically spread the virus throughout the entire nation. And they've been trying to do that for quite some time.
Well, he goes, the tax is this is Jonathan Turley now, remember, a Democrat. The tax, he was a Democrat. I don't know if he is anymore. I'd be surprised if he is. Just, he hasn't said that he is converted. The tax is a familiar tactic of many in politics who attack the wealthiest citizens as somehow ripping off the poor. If states can do this for billionaires, it's likely to do it for those in lower tax brackets as they face the choice between financial discipline and tax increases.
Okay, there you go with again. Thank you, Mr. Turley. I didn't read that part of that analysis from him, so we agree on that. That's you extrapolate it out. They would eventually have to move on to other brackets, and because you and I have always talked about going back to the Obama years, even before that, I'm sure, but the redistribution of wealth, this idea of redistribution of wealth. But, okay, everyone wants to talk billionaires making the big, bad, boogeyman out of the billionaires, then millionaires. Oh, wait, Bernie can't do that because he's a millionaire now. Well, what about the guy who down the street earns $175,000 because he works 3 jobs, and the person who doesn't want to work 3 jobs and makes $30,000? Again, the idea is redistribution of wealth and the things that what they say is have. I like to use the word earned.
Well, I mentioned it the other day that it is amazing because, Bernie Sanders is all behind this. The billionaires are bad. He doesn't say millionaires anymore because
he is one.
Bernie Sanders, think about this.
Yeah.
He became a millionaire
by screaming about millionaires.
By screaming about millionaires.
Yeah. The oligarch tour on private jets.
Right.
I mean, that's going on.
He became a millionaire by telling you that rich people are evil.
Yeah.
When you think about it, it's like, wow. And he still has the most credibility.
I know.
In Democrat circles.
I know.
Now, the one thing they talk about is, what would the Supreme Court look at that as? And they say there's a common myth that the top 5% of this country do not pay their fair share. However, putting that debate aside, the question is whether it will produce more revenue than it costs the state in the long run. As these politicians campaign on clipping the fat cats who are not paying their fair share, many are likely to follow the exodus to lower tax states with greater fiscal discipline. The constitutionality of a retroactive tax has long been controversial. In one court case in 1994, the Supreme Court declared the presumption against retroactive legislation is deeply rooted in our jurisprudence. Considerations of fairness dictate that individuals should have the opportunity to know what the law is and conform their conduct accordingly. Settled expectations should not be lightly disrupted. Most Americans are obviously not billionaires, but see the obvious unfairness in such retroactive taxes. People are allowed to make decisions on whether they want to stay in a state and how to invest their money in light of tax and other considerations. The retroactive taxes allow a bait and switch for taxpayers as politicians tap wealth from prior years.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I imagine how they could extrapolate that out on the national level, going back and how far back could you go? Again, that's where the Supreme Court might have a problem with it in California if they were to get this done. This is a lot of grandstanding for a guy who wants to run in 28, Gavin Newsum. Again, we've got to demonize the rich people. Keep in mind that he's also a rich person. And we're going to go after them, and we're going to Well, go after. You can only chase them so far, and they'll leave. And even if you could get this done, the mass exodus in that first year, even if they all said, okay, well, by law, I've got to just say that it happened and Supreme Court let it stand. Okay, well, we'll write you a check and there's going to be fallout from that. But, oh, well, I now live in Texas or Florida or wherever it is.
Once you set it up, there is nobody who believes it's going to be temporary.
Right. No.
It's going to come back again.
Right.
And the problem is, and you're seeing it in New York City, the whole Donnie situation, where in order to get what he wants done in New York City, they have to tax people who don't live in New York City.
Yep.
That's not going to go over well.
Nope.
And so once if you get the legislature to approve, number one, on the surcharge to whatever it ends up being, if they ever get to that point, millionaires and billionaires in New York City, which means they're going to leave, and then you try to tax other people that don't live in your jurisdiction to pay for what you want, well, people aren't going to be happy. That most likely won't pass, to increase the corporate tax rate. And again, but Democrats are fools. Democrats who are on the lower income scale are absolute fools. The Democrat leadership looks at poor Democrats and go, you're the biggest idiots that have ever been put on this earth, because we have convinced you that corporate taxes punish the evil rich when actually they pass those on to you, and we've created a stealth tax to make your life harder, and you're such a sucker that you go along with it and you agree, rah, go after those rich people, and in reality, you're being taxed. It's one of the most immoral taxes on the poor because they hide it.
Yep.
Because they believe, they're convinced, because
people vote for them.
The poor Democrats keep voting for them as they keep wanting to increase corporate taxes, which is passed on to the consumer. That hurts the poor the most.
Yep.
And so they look at it and go, my God, this is the best of both worlds. We're dealing with idiots who vote for us, and we're taxing them, and we're pretending that it's punishing the rich.
Right.
On the corporate taxes.
Well, Jeff Bezos, remember they were going to move the Amazon's second headquarters into New York City, and AOC stopped him from doing that.
Yeah. And
he's like, okay, great. I'll just take my hairless cat and move to Florida. I'm convinced he has a lair. But that's exactly how it's going to go down every time, is that, and they're not, these people aren't stupid. These people who are billionaires, they know how to make money. And this redistribution of wealth idea is done why? Obama said it. Remember, Charlie Gibson, the moderator in the 2008 debate. We don't forget that when you raise taxes, then revenue starts to come down. Charlie Gibson was asking then Barack Obama as a candidate, but you want to keep raising the taxes? And then finally, Obama said, well, we're going to do it out of a sense of fairness.
Right. He said, why would you raise
an
taxes?
Emotion.
If you bring in less revenue, why would you raise? That was specifically capital gains taxes.
Right, yes.
Why would you do it? And he didn't debate saying, no, it would bring in more. He agreed with them and said, because of a sense of fairness. Even if it brings in less money.
Yeah, it's a sense of fairness.
It's a sense of fairness.
Right.
Obama said it.
Yep. That's what they want you. They want you on the emotion. And people vote for that. People don't do the math for whatever reason. The willfully ignorant who are going to end up paying for it in the long run.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Uncompensated detention at docks frustrates drivers of all stripes. If you're an owner-operator, you have at least some control over the matter. Make the subject a standard part of your rate and/or contract negotiations on the front end. You can use your own numbers to calculate an hourly rate to compensate for lost income opportunity, as well as fixed costs, which don't stop when the truck stops. Those two elements of a fair detention rate were deemed appropriate by most of Overdrive's audience almost a decade ago. We've used income, fixed costs, and miles average of our owner-operator business services from ATBS's clients to compute an average $64 an hour detention rate then. And 10 years later, the figure is $83 an hour. Use your own numbers to calculate your rate. A simple conversation with any broker or shipper or your carrier if you're leased about what you're putting in the rate might yield results you don't expect. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics.
Brought to you by Shell Rotella, with advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. You know, one thing that we have learned throughout history is that Marxism can't pay for itself.
Right. Yep.
It's that simple. And you're seeing it with Mandani in New York City. We need to tax these people to pay for us.
Right.
And once you tax these billionaires and they leave, well, then who's left to tax?
Right. It's the middle class and lower income people, and we've said that forever because that's how it works. That's where they go when there's nobody else left, and they do it through hidden taxes. And those same people turn around and vote for them over and over again. Many, not all. But New York's going to be blue for the rest of my lifetime. I can say that with confidence. And it's not going to happen with conservatives running in New York because they won't be in office.
And, you know, when they say, you know, the rich should pay their fair share, that's the one question that's never been defined ever. There's never an answer.
Define fair.
Define fair. What's fair share?
Right.
It's interesting, though, because every poll I've ever seen, when people are asked what they believe rich people should be taxed, is lower than what they're actually taxed right now.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's really sort of like the poll we saw a couple of months ago. It's like the public is clueless. A significant portion of the public is absolutely clueless.
Right.
It was like, okay, we need to cut the budget. We need to cut it, and we can cut it 40%. Okay, let's see what the majority was willing to cut. Only one thing were the majority of Americans willing to cut, and that would be foreign aid. Well, we said foreign aid isn't going to be cut. President Trump talked about getting rid of foreign aid, but then as we played you the audio cut earlier, Marco Rubio saying, no, foreign aid is needed. So, countries that basically agree with the United States gets foreign aid from the United States.
Right.
But it won't be wasted.
Right.
And so it's like, but that's, you know, as we said, a certain demographic voted for Trump because they believed foreign aid was going to go away. And we said, no,
it's not going to happen.
No, it's
not going to happen.
It's not going to go away. And everything that is expanding, or everything, whether it's Social Security, whether it's health care, which you've got to find a way to reduce those costs.
Yeah.
Americans want more money going into it, yet they believe that the budget can be cut 40%. So a significant portion of America, and probably about half of America, lives in a delusional state about what the finances of this country are right now.
Yep.
So that's another problem that the Republicans face. There's an expectation and a new expectation of the populist part of the Republican Party that, no, you guys can take care of us better.
Yeah.
Not why the federal government is there.
Observing and analyzing the insanity. Eric Harley and Gary McNamara. Nightly. on Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. So I'm just reading this here about the Trump accounts. By the way, it's not the federal government's responsibility to give $1,000 to newborn children. Not with the debt that we have. Number one, that's not the responsibility of the federal government to do that.
No.
But the hype on this.
Mm-hmm.
This is Fox News. Here we go. Listen to this. All right. Here we go.
All right.
Okay.
A sense of where this goes from 0 to 2.25 million over the course of 60 years. That's a pretty nice nest egg for retirement if people continue to put into it. Your thoughts on this account?
Well, you know, on Fox Business, we talk all the time about the importance of time in the market. Start saving early. Teach kids why investing is so important. And you can do that.
Okay, and that's fine because but because it doesn't go anywhere. He's just talking about the fact that compound interest works. It grows.
Right.
But here's the tag on this. Wow. Fox News reports huge potential gains from a $1,000 children's Trump account that could grow to $191,000 by age 18 and $2.2 million by age 60 if the money is left to accumulate with maximum contributions. A shot in the arm for capitalism.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to start there.
Well, first of all, if you adjust for inflation along the way, let's go 65 years from now, $2.2 million. That's about 3 months' rent.
Well, no, the thing is, they're throwing out all these incredible numbers if you do maximum contributions every year till the time that you're 60.
Well,
which means
you can already do that.
But it's got nothing to do with now this would be pre-tax.
Right.
It would be pre-tax you could do this.
Right.
But the fact is, the 1,000 is meaningless in the beginning.
Right. And it would be up to the parents in order to instill in their children that long-term lesson of compounding interest. I remember when one of my grandchildren learned about it, and then he taught me about it. And he was like, oh, wow. So if I just leave that there and I don't make this purchase today and I leave that there, and he was learning about it. He was 8 at the time. And so he's all into it. And my wife did a really good job at setting them up. She's in finance, setting them up with that kind of lesson. But it's still, even coming from grandparents, requires the parents to, condition that and for them to adhere to those principles all along the way. The point is,
you can do it right now.
It can happen right now with the Dells or whoever wants to throw in $6.2 billion. Okay, fine. But the problem is, once you start what they call pilot programs in the federal government, you start to get this pathology of dependency. In fact, you inevitably will. And it will be, well, why don't we then apply this money here, or also allow this, or keep it going, and next thing you know, it's taxpayer funded and it's a basic monthly income.
But remember, the $250 goes because anybody can open up a Trump account. But the $250 contribution that will go is for outside that 1,000. That doesn't go on top of the 1,000.
Right.
Those are for people that don't qualify.
Right.
It would be $250 bucks. Look, here's how it worked for me when I was a teenager and I first started, making money, whatever. My father said, "I want you to give me a portion of it every day, and we'll put it in a passbook account." Wow, that shows you how old I am. A passbook account.
Yeah.
But it was money that I earned.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I put money that I earned, and every week I gave money to and I continued that through college.
Yep.
And then remember when I got my college loan, we collected the interest. All I did was collect the interest on my college loan and then paid it off and didn't pay any interest to the government. But even through my 20s, I did it. My father kept the pad. I'll continue. No, I'll give you more. We just watched that thing grow, but it was my money. I earned it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't my parents, it wasn't my grandparents, and it's fine if they wish to do that. But the real learning about understanding it is when you earn the money and then you save it, and then you see the effect of compound interest.
Yep.
And but the hype on it is the thing that got me. You could get up to 2.5 if you put in the maximum contributions. Well, you can do it without the 1,000.
You can apply this math in many different ways. In fact, my gosh, we could go much further. And of course, we could also then teach the children about taxation. Because also 65 years from now, everybody will be paying a millionaire's tax, which will be 100% over $1,000.
Now, let's be honest, though. There's a good and great factor to this.
Yeah.
Social Security will be a mess in 60 years, so you better open these accounts and put money in the rest of your life.
No, they'll be teaching about Social Security. There used to be something called Social Security. Was that like social media? Because that failed too. Yeah, it's, again, all great and wonderful, but what it's missing is the set of lessons along the way. You know, the Kickstarter is fine. That's great. I don't want the federal government involved. The Kickstarter on the lesson is fine, but it's nothing without follow-up, which has to happen in the home. And that's the problem. You're going to have, if this were to grow into a big government program, because there's never any abuse in federal programs, ever.
Well, it's only between 2025 and 2028.
That the pilot program does, but that's my whole point, is that you build out exactly what I was saying earlier. The pathology of dependency dictates that, well, wait, we want to keep this going. Let's keep this going. Let's keep this going. Let's keep this going. Now, again, at some point you get back to we should do it this way. And it should go to mom and dad. They're taking care of the baby. The baby doesn't have anywhere to be. They don't need the $1,000. Mom and dad need it now. How about a basic monthly income? And we're back to square one. You know, again, it's not the place of the government. I love the fact that this president wants young people, the youngest of whom, to eventually learn about compounding interest and saving and everything else. But quite frankly, if they don't learn it from their parents, there's a decent chance, probably more often than not, they're not going to learn it themselves. And
what I have found out, and it came directly from my father, and I remember my father telling me about the lessons he met. There was a woman at work that he met who just, I can't afford to do it. He says, what you need to do is you need to take, and he just said, take, I don't know, it was $10 or $20 a week, and you put it away and you invest it. Mm-hmm. And he said, she goes, I can't afford it. He says, you can't afford not to do it because you'd be amazed what you could live on. And remember, we're talking about when my mother and father, who grew up during the Depression, where cash was everything. You didn't have the credit at all that exists today.
Right.
So you went without. Mm-hmm. And so
you only bought what you could afford.
Right. They went without. Credit was something that you didn't, it wasn't like today where credit's available to everybody. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that way. And so, you had to save, but he did that for her and a couple of other people that he met, other relatives, and said, you need to do this. But what it is, it needs to be a culture of saving, of people that are earning the money, saving the money, and then seeing how it grows. Because once you do it, and I think there's a difference between money given to you and money, of course there is a difference between money given to you that can create the pathology of dependency and money that you earn when you see it grow and the incentive to continue doing that. But I think saving is a culture, just like spending and using your credit card is a culture.
Yeah. Part of it is generational, but it is definitely there is a different mindset culturally between the two.
There are people that I know when they say, you put everything on your credit card?
Mm-hmm.
Go, yeah, building up airplane miles. Yeah, but but you put everything. I mean, I couldn't afford to keep, the payments up every month with what you put on your credit card. I said, well, I put everything on my credit card and I pay it off at the end of the month.
Right. Yeah.
And I said, and actually, I really do. I look at when the billing date is. And right when the billing date hits, I'll check and go, okay, whatever you're going to spend this month, do it now. And then I have 60 days to pay it off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, that's the difference. I put everything on it because I get airplane miles.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, hey, I'm going to use it to my advantage.
Yeah.
But
credit has been, in fact, an investment. They call it leveraging.
Yeah.
And if done properly and responsibly, it's fine. It's great, actually. But the problem is, again, here, getting the federal government involved in a program and launching a program, then you're nurturing the environment for something bigger down the road. This pilot program is all great and wonderful, but it's nothing without the parents' involvement at a constant level, at a consistent level along the way. There has to be that interest from the parents. Otherwise, you're doing nothing.
I see the Trump accounts lasting.
I think they will.
I don't know how long they will continue with the money, especially when we talk about over the next 10 years, where the general tax funds are going to have to be supporting Social Security.
Well, again,
and there's going to be a choice to make. Do we lose the elderly, or do we, give the money to people that won't vote for another 18 years?
Right. Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
Whose votes do we need more?
Again, why politically I think they start, you start hearing, well, no, the parents need it. The parents need it for daycare. They need it for.
Yeah, I'm okay with the Trump accounts.
Mm-hmm. I don't have a problem.
No, I'm okay with it.
With any of that part of it.
It's the federal government money being put in when we're running over a $2 trillion debt every year.
Yep.
Deficit every year.
Right.
We've got a debt of over going on $37 trillion now, and we're paying $1 trillion in interest a year.
Yeah.
Sorry, can't afford to do it. End of story.
Right.
Well, then we need to get rid of foreign aid. Sorry, that's not happening.
That's not happening
Marco
either.
Rubio made that clear.
Right.
Yesterday.
That's not going to happen with this administration.
Yeah.
It won't happen with the next administration.
Nope. So, but no, I'm fine with, pre-tax money being put in for savings accounts.
Oh, no, I think that's that kind of encouragement or incentivizing is great.
Right.
Do that all day. But the government, no government money ever. And you can't, again, let this extrapolate out into other types of programs. Well, we should let the parents use it, or we should do this, and we should fund it better, and we should, and no. Let's not open that door. The educational approach and the incentivizing, okay, that's great. But again, the parents, ultimately, to make it work, the parents are going to have to be involved long term.
We are Red Eye Radio.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So, just clear, the president said that anything that the auto pen did, President Trump, is no longer the case.
Right. And also to Amazon, anything I bought while I was on NyQuil, I don't owe you money for.
But the fact is, the Trump can reverse any executive order.
Right.
But
how do you unpardon someone?
Are thousands of people going back to jail this week?
I don't know.
No.
I didn't see that part where they're going to round people up.
No.
Put them in prison again.
No.
Yeah.
No,
so
that's not going to.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. Because the first thing you said, I now order the Department of Justice to take anybody who was pardoned by Biden's auto pen and bring them back to federal prison.
Yeah.
You notice that didn't happen.
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, and it's not going to.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. But it will be interesting to see. I did see one article that said, while it doesn't apply to Hunter Biden, I'm like, well, why wouldn't it? It does apply to Fauci and James Biden. I'm like, on the you talking about the pre-pardons? What are you talking about here?
Pre-pardons are the same.
Right.
No difference.
Yeah, I don't see the legal difference.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.